adhikāraḥ nama Krishna namaha
adhikāraye nama Krishna Yadavaya namaha
Yadavaya Adavaya Krishna
Yadavaya Adavaya Krishna namaha
Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha
Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha
Gopam Govindaram Shri Madhusudan
Gopam Govindaram Shri Madhusudan
Gopam Govindaram Shri Madhusudan
Gopal Govindaram Shri Madhusudan
Hari Guru Vaishnava Bhagavan
Hari Guru Vaishnava Bhagavad Gita.
How does it go? Yeah. Gopinath Madana Mohan
Giridhari Gopinath Madana Mohan
Shri Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Sita
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 Hari Guru Vaishnava Bhagavata Gita
Hari Guru Vaishnava Bhagavad Gita
Hari Guru Vaishnava Bhagavata Gita
Hari Guru Vaishnava Bhagavad Gita
Shri Rup Shri Sanatan Bhaktaraguna
Shri Rupa Shri Sanatana Bhaktaraguna
Shri Rupa Shri Sanatan Bhaktaraguna
Shri Rupa Shri Sanatana Bhaktaraguna
Shri Jivan Gopala Bhakta Dasaranga
Shri Jiva Gopala Bhakta Dasaranga
Shri Jivan Gopala Bhakta Dasaranga
Shri Jiva Gopala Bhakta Dasaranga
Yadavaya Nama
Adhikāraḥ Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha
Yadavaya Madhavaya Krishna
Yadavaya Madhavaya Krishna Namaha
Gopal Govinda Ram Madhusudan
Gopal Govinda Ram Madhusudan
Giridhari Gopinath Madana Mohan
Giridhari Gopinath Madana Mohan
Shri Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Sita
Shri Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Sita
Hari Guru Vaishnava Bhagavata Gita
Hari Guru Vaishnava Bhagavad Gita
Shri Shri Sanatana Bhaktaraguna
Shri Guru Sanatana Bhaktaraguna
Shiva Gopalaka Dasaranga
Shiva Gopala Bhakta Dasaranga
Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare
Jai Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Hare
Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Punjabi Adi Jaya Radha Madhava Jana Bhav Gopi Jana Bharana Jaya Girivara Hari Jaya Girivara Hari Jaya Girivara Nandana Jaya Rajajana Ranjana Jaya Rajajana Ranjana Jaya Yashoda Nandana Jaya Rajajana Ranjana Jaya Yamuna Hiramana Sari Jaya Jami Hari Jaya Yamuna Hiramana Sari Jaya Jami Hari Jaya Radha Jaya Punjabi Hari Jaya Raja Jaya Punjabi Hari Jaya Gopi Jana Bhagava Jaya Girivara Hari Jaya Girivara Hari Jaya Gopi Jana Jaya Girivara Hari Jaya Girivara Hari Yashoda Nandana Jaya Rajajana Ranjana Jaya Rajajana Ranjana Jaya Yashoda Jaya Rajajana Jaya Yamuna Ramana Sari Jaya Punjabi Hari Jaya Yamuna Ramana Sari Jaya Punjabi Hari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Gora Hari Bol Nitai Gora Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Yes. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Jagannath Subhadra Bhavati Devaki bhūr Prema.
Dobar dan, dobrodošli svi na još jedno nedeljno predavanje. Kome treba prijevod na hrvatski? Super. Onda će nam čitanja sjesti tu između Džaga Mangale i gospođe Spinke. Ako nemate ništa protiv. Evo tu. Super. Super, kogod još da treba prijevod na engleski, nek se grupiše kod čitanja. Molim vas, ugasite mobitele i ako trebate prešetavati preko tankruma, napravite to s vanjske strane kroz hodnik. Tako da molim vas, bez prešetavanja, bez zvonjenja po oltaru.
You're also welcome to...
Da dođete bliže, da odozvada je gužva. Samo hrabro napred. Okay. So today for our new guests from all the way from India, today we will speak about how to managing our lives, the three aspects in our life, which is our private life, our our sadhana, private life, and mission. So,
and speaking,
and of course, and the speaker is His Holiness Krishna Kshetra Swami, also known as PhD Kenneth Walke, Professor Doctor from Oxford University. So, it's my great pleasure that you are with us today.
We'll give you a 3 out of 5 for that introduction. Yeah, it's interesting.
Ili na harmoniju.
Nema struje.
Ima s druge strane.
Yes. I will speak into the microphone. Dear microphone. Okay, I'll try. Good. Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnanam Janashakaya Chakshurumilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yukta Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Cha Shri Rupam Sarajatam Sahagana Ravanatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Savaitam Savadutam Harijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Vita Shri Vishakam Vitam Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Itinam Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavani Paschatya Vishatarine Vanta Kalpatruyascha Kripa Sindhuvya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagapate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Namaste Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Rameshwari Vrishabhanu Devi pranamami Hare. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta-vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Okay, so to begin, I think it would be nice to read a verse from Bhagavad Gita as a sort of starting point for our discussion. And let's see, where is it? Here it is. Yes, this is a famous verse, especially in India. Sometimes people in India will say, I know Bhagavad Gita. And then you ask, what do they know of Bhagavad Gita? And they will quote generally one verse. And this is the verse. It's from the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Karmaṇy evādhikāras ma phaleṣu kadācana. Ma karma-phala-hetur bhūr, ma te saṅgo astu akarmaṇi. I see some heads nodding. Yes, this is the verse that we know, isn't it? It's an interesting instruction that Krishna is giving to Arjuna, and it's a very radical instruction. He's saying that you have adhikāraḥ. You have a right. We often hear people speak about rights, human rights. Now we also hear about animal rights, so human rights and so on. So the Sanskrit word for right is adhikāraḥ, which, however, also means qualification. So it's saying, karmaṇi, adhikāras te, you have a right to act, karmaṇi, to perform actions. What sort of actions? The word karma in this context generally means acts of performing your duty. You have a right to perform your dutiful actions, whatever they are. But then comes the hammer in the next line. Ma phaleṣu kadācana. And here the word adhikāraḥ applies to the second line. Na adhikāraḥ phaleṣu kadācana. You have at no time a right to the fruit of your actions. And this is the hammer. You have a right to perform actions. You do not have a right to the fruit of your actions. What? Why would I do anything except to get results? Allah. And you're now telling me that I'm not allowed to have the fruit of my actions, and I don't get it. What's the point? Ma karma-phala-hetur. You are not the hetuḥ. You are not the cause of the fruits of action. Ma, this word is repeated 3 times. Ma te saṅgo astu akarmaṇi. Then you may think, well, then I'll just not do anything, because why bother anyway? And Krishna says, no, you do not have a right to not perform actions. So it's, as I said, quite quite a, as we would say in English, heavy statement. It's quite strong, and it's, as I said, very widely known in India, but the verse is known, but do people understand what it means? Do people understand how it's applied? So I think this is a good start for what we want to talk about, which is juggling. What's the Croatian word for juggling?
Jongliranje.
Jongliranje. Jongliranje. Jongliranje. Yes. Do we have any jugglers here today? Anyone who knows juggling? For two. I think we to evidence. But I think we've all seen people doing 3 or 4, maybe 5 or 6 different things, and they keep them all amazingly in the air. Right? Speaking of air, we need some air. Yeah. Some cool air.
Jesmo gotovi. Gotovi.
We're okay. Okay, good. Yeah, speaking of air, we need to breathe air. Okay, so juggling, what's the point here? As I mentioned a few days ago, we are taking an analogy that the late His Holiness Krishna Swami gave for how we means devotees of Krishna, devotees, those who want to advance in spiritual life, who want to live a spiritual life, have a challenge. The challenge is to keep 3 things going. And so he compared this to juggling. So what are the 3 things that we want to keep in the air, so to speak, that we want to keep going? Well, we have to maintain ourselves. We have to eat, we have to sleep, and so on. And we have social life. We have to, we are not islands unto ourselves. None of us really can live without friends, without social support, without encouragement from others, without relating with others. Of course, we have family, but we have friends, and we have wider society. And we're born into a society. And some sociologists would argue that our very existence, our very identity is about our social. There's a social identity before there's any other kind of identity. And then there's also related to this, and between the two, you could say between the physical body and the social body, if you like, there's our minds, our emotions, our psychological needs, which what does it consist of? Well, consists of, I would say it consists of hope, first of all. I don't know, first of all, maybe first of all, why not? Hope. What is hope in Croatian?
Nada.
Nada.
Nada. Yeah. And emotion, of course, is invariably related to other persons. The exchange with others, the relationality So between maintaining ourselves physically and socially is maintaining ourselves psychologically. Right? There's quite a thriving business nowadays of psychologists of all sorts. And I believe it's the World Health Organization that says the number, is it the number 1 or the number 2? In any case, very widespread disease in the world is depression. More and more people are getting depressed. And clinical depression is quite a serious condition. And makes life practically intolerable, or for some people, absolutely intolerable. In any case, we need to give attention to our physical, mental, social well-being, perhaps our political well-being, our economic well-being. And much of this has to do with the need to feel safe, to feel protected. We have material bodies which are extremely vulnerable. Maybe you've noticed. Everything that's possible to go wrong with these material bodies can go wrong. And sooner or later, some of them will go wrong. And at some point, it's going to go so wrong that we will no longer be able to tolerate this body. We'll have to leave the body. So, that's the bad news. We're in a sinking ship together. We're all in the Titanic, and we're all playing our violins as the Titanic is going down. Yeah. Okay, so that's one of the batons that we want to, so to say, keep in the air. And for most people, perhaps we can say, I don't know if this is an overgeneralization, but for many people, this is the only thing that they're keeping in the air. They're not concerned about the other two batons. When we take up the culture, the path of bhakti yoga, the bhakti marga, initially we may be very thrilled and very excited, and how much fun it is. It all tastes so good, and it sounds so good, and it's such nice. It's nice in so many ways. And then after some time, we start to become more and more aware. Oh, it's not just a weekend hobby. It's something to be done all the time. It's something that we do every day, and it's not just something for a short time every day. It's for all the time. To aspire to take full shelter of the Lord, of Krishna. That's we say in English, a tall order. Tall order. It's a big thing. It's a serious thing. And we discovered that there are two more, so to say, batons. One of these batons is what is called in Sanskrit sadhana. And sadhana is that which, by its engagement, leads to what is called sadhya. Sadhya can just mean goal, that which is to be obtained. Sadhya. We practice sadhana in order to reach a sadhya. What is the sadhya? What is it that we want to attain for which we practice sadhana? The sadhya that we're aiming for is nothing less than Krishna prema, pure love of Krishna. Aradyo Bhagavan Rajesha Tanayas Tadama Vrindavanam Ramya Kachit Upasana Rajavadu Vargena Yakalpitan Srimad Bhagavatam Purana Mamalam Prema Pumarto Mahan Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Matamida Tatradara Sa Haraha. I think that's it. Anyway, Prema Puma Arto Mahan. The word Arta means purpose or aim or goal. And so Prema is our goal, our sadhana. And it's a big goal, and therefore it's called Mahan. Mahat means it's big, it's great, it's a great thing. It's a wonderful thing. And therefore, it's we understand it's worth making some effort for, and that effort we call sadhana. So that's one of these three batons that we're talking about. And in the Bhagavatam, Prahlad Maharaj gives a list of activities of sadhana. What are they? Most of you know. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Adasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atmani Vedanam. Yeah. 9 ways that we can practice sadhana. And these practices are engagements of our physical and mental and emotional and intellectual bodies. And so it says, also in the Bhagavatam, there's a nice description of one Bhagavata, one devotee, named Ambarisha. Ambarisha was a king, and Ambarisha was a devotee. And he would spend his time, it seems that he didn't have a whole lot of work to do in terms of that first principle. It seems that he had all the time in the world to do this sadhana practice, because it said, Savai mana Krishna padara vindayo vachansi vaikanta gunanu varnani. He would engage his mind, first of all. Pada aravindaya, in the lotus feet of the Lord. He would put his mind at the feet of the Lord. What does that mean? That means he would be thinking, how can I serve the Lord? He was directing his mind that way. Savai mana. The word vai is a very ancient word of the Upanishads, indicating emphasis. He really did it. He would really engage his mind. Savai mana Krishna Vindaya. Vachansi vaikunta gunanu varnane. And he liked to speak, but not about anything, not what is called prajalpa, or gramya kata, but rather he liked to speak about the Lord. Vachansi vaikunta guna anuvarnana. He would anuvarnana, he would in an ongoing way, he would describe the qualities or the virtues The word guna can mean virtue as well as quality. Vaikuntha guna, the qualities of Vaikuntha. Vaikuntha, of course, can refer to the place where the Lord resides, and it can also refer to the Lord himself. The Lord is Vaikuntha. Did you know that? Karo harer mandiramarjanarishu shuting chakarat sakatodaya. Karo harer mandiramarjanarishu. The king himself, what would he do? He would clean the temple. Mandiramarjana, adishu, etc. He would engage his hands in these things. Shuting chakarachita satkatodaya. And he would listen. What would he listen to? Not, again, Prajalpa and the daily news. He would listen to Satkata, the true story. You could say literally the true story, the real story, the story of reality. And there's two more verses that describe more things that he does, but we'll save that for another time. The point is, he's giving an example. He is a kind of model for us of engaging. And the point was that he's using his mental body and also his physical body in practical service. The feet, the hands, the ears, the eyes, everything in the Lord's service. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, all of these activities. Okay, so that's number 2 of the 3 things that we want to keep in the air, so to speak. And what's the third? The third is there is a mission. Now, we might think of it this way, that sadhana is what I call in reach, and mission is outreach in English. Whenever there's a big event of devotees in Mayapur, there'll be lots of meetings and discussions about outreach. And I've attended some of these meetings, and they're very nice. And while they're going on, I'm sitting and thinking, okay, there's outreach, very nice. What about in-reach? What about going inside? What about reflecting on what's going on internally? What's my connection with the Lord, such that I have something to share outreach with others. So a kind of key idea that points to the principle of outreach in our tradition is a description in Chaitanya Charitamrita of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the founder of our mission, as a gardener. And as a gardener, he announces that he has a problem. Yes, he only has 2 hands. He says, I am only one person, and there are so many fruits. I need, and so he says, I call on everyone to assist me in distributing these fruits. What are the fruits? The fruits are the fruits of Krishna prema. Premam pumarto maham. Now, if there's no fruits to distribute, then what? If there are no fruits, if there's no devotion inside to share outside, then how is that third principle, how is that going to be served? You can make so many arrangements. You can make lots of plans. You can make lots of organization. But if there's not something inside that needs to come out, some fresh fruit, which needs to be distributed before it gets rotten, to use the analogy a little further, we need to cultivate that. We need to do the in-reach in order to do the outreach. That's right. So so we have a challenge. We have three things. We have taking care of ourselves and our families, if we are responsible for families. We have everyone has so much responsibility in relation to others. And we have to take care of that. That is, there's a simple word for that in Sanskrit, namely dharma. And we could speak a lot about that. But the point is we have this responsibility, and we want to cultivate and we want to share Krishna bhakti. Krishna, what Srila Prabhupada called Krishna consciousness. How do we do it? Well, we might start by looking at examples as models. The word acharya, what does it mean? It's
one who is teaching with example.
One who teaches by example, yes. And of course, we have our founder acharya of our society, the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada, this Murti we have here. And in many ways, we look upon his entire life as an example, as a model. There's one particularly interesting feature of this example which we can reflect on. As many of you know, Srila Prabhupada met his spiritual master, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur, in the year 1922 on the rooftop of the Gaudiya Mutt of Ultadanga Road, number 1. And that building has now been purchased by ISKCON and has been fully renovated. I haven't seen it since renovation, but I'm told it's been done in a very first-class way as a kind of museum, which is very inclusive of recognizing, acknowledging that this is a Gaudiya Mutt. It wasn't an ISKCON center. In any case, 1922, 1933, so 11 years later, Srila Prabhupada received formal initiation from Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur. In 1944, that's again 11 years later, he started his Back to Godhead magazine. Something happened in 1959. I think he went to he renounced his home and he went to Vrindavan. Maybe that was 1955. In 1959, he took the sannyas order. 1966, although he left in 1955 from India, but 1966 he came to the U.S. and there, in 1966, he established as a legal entity the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Anyway, and then 1977, 11 years later, he departed. So kind of that's interesting. So many 11-year periods. But the point is that after he first received instruction from his guru, which was you're a young, intelligent man. You know English language. You should spread this mission in the English language. He said that was 1922. It was 22 years later that he started his English magazine, Back to Godhead. And it was another 22 years before he started ISKCON. My point here is that he had responsibilities for his family, and he took his responsibilities seriously up to a point when he decided now it's time to let go of the family. They can take care of themselves. And he became a renunciant. But all that time, he says, the whole time after he met his guru, received that instruction, from then on, he was constantly thinking, how can I fulfill this order? How can I preach Krishna consciousness? And he would preach. It's not that he was silent for 22 years, 44 years. He was, whenever he had opportunity, he was speaking with local people. Whoever he met, he would have gatherings in his home and so on. So the point being here that this juggling process may be different for each of us in different periods of our lives. And it can be the case that some periods of our life, there will be need for more attention on one aspect than on the other. Having said that, I'd like to suggest the middle, so to say, baton, namely sadhana, is something we want to always keep going. Why is that? Because another analogy is, we're using the juggling analogy, but another analogy is gardening. If we want to cultivate a garden, we have to give it regular attention. If we don't give it regular attention, what happens?
Jungle.
You get a jungle. Yeah, with who knows, all kinds of snakes living there and who knows what, tigers. And, yeah. So the analogy of cultivation, I think, is also relevant when we think about the outreach. The outreach principle, because again, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu expressed that he has a problem. There are all these fruits of this tree which he is cultivating. And actually, he's the trunk of the tree and he's the gardener all at the same time. He's cultivating, he's a gardener. And so the devotees following Chaitanya also see themselves as gardeners. Now, another aspect of gardening is patience, right? You don't expect what you plant today to give flowers tomorrow. There's a saying in Chinese, and unfortunately I don't remember the Chinese, otherwise I could impress you that way. But the saying, the essential idea is it's about the foolishness of the farmer who, out of impatience, one day goes out to his field of corn, where the plants are still very small, but they're coming up. But he thinks, well, let me speed the process up. And so what does he do? He pulls each of the plants, thinking he's going to, and what happens? They all die. And so the sadhana process requires also patience. I find a very helpful quick start manual for sadhana is Srila Rupa Goswami's little book called Upadeshamrita, the Nectar of Instruction. Most of you are familiar with this. It consists of 11 verses, and as one of my godbrothers likes to say, you can read just the verses, the translations. It's only 11 verses, so it takes maybe 5 minutes. So he says, 5 minutes with a genius. Spend 5 minutes with a genius. And he starts out, Vacho vegam, manasa krodha vegam, jiva vegam, udarapasta vegam, etan vegam, yo, visha hetadira sarvana pimam, pritiving shashishyat. He starts with basics. He starts with basics. Vacho vegam, the force, the vega, which is our speech, is something to control, along with the mind, manasa, and the tendency to be angry. We all have a tendency when things don't go our way, then we make a fist. We want revenge. We want to do something about it. So, manasa krodha vega, jiva vega. What is that? It's the tongue, jiva. The control of the tongue, the control of the stomach, and the control of the genitals. So, vacha vega, manasa, krodha, jiva, udara, upasta. All of these are to be controlled. And then Rupa Goswami says, if you can control these 6, you can be a guru. And you can lead the entire world. In other words, he's saying, this is not easy. This is not easy. If you can do it, then how glorious that is. Yeah, so like that, he's giving, like when you get a new electronic device of some sort, you open the box, and on top there will be quick start instructions. Take the machine out of the box, it'll tell you. Take the electric wire and plug it in. Push the on button, sort of basic instructions. So the instructions, Amrita, the nectar of instruction, is a very nice sort of handbook or quick start manual for sadhana. So what I'm saying is, whatever else is going on in our lives and whatever challenges we have in our lives, I would suggest we want to keep this sadhana principle central. It's something we hold on to, even if the world is falling apart, even if everything else is falling apart, even if, or we might want to say, especially if my mind is falling apart. If I'm very disturbed, then what should I do? Well, how about chanting Krishna's names? When all else fails, and it will fail, then what do? We call out, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Maybe I should stop here. I was going to speak about other acharyas, other examples for us, but maybe it's good if I stop now and see if you want to add something or subtract something or question something that I have said or something that I didn't say about juggling these three principles of what are they? Maintaining ourselves, maintaining our sadhana, and maintaining, somehow taking part in a mission. And what is the mission? It's a very special mission. It's a mission to help everybody in the world. It's no small mission. It's to help people. Prabhupada, I don't know how many times he said it's about people giving opportunity for people to be happy. So the problem, we could say, in the wider world is depression, and there's a solution to the problem. And we are convinced that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has a special contribution for the world, which we are in a position to share. The word bhakti comes from the verbal root bhaj, which means to share. And so this is about sharing Krishna with them. My sweet Lord. Right? So we should all become expert jugglers. It's interesting if we think a little more about this analogy. Juggling is with two hands, and in this case we're talking about three objects, and you have to keep them moving constantly so that always at least one of the two is in the air. And being in the air means it's vulnerable to being dropped. And what is the force by which it could drop? We call it gravity. Nobody really knows what gravity is. We just say for this force that's keeping all of us right now from floating around in the air, we call it gravity. So what is, in the analogy, what is this gravity? What would you say? Anyone? The mind?
Maya.
Maya. Okay, Maya. What is Maya? Yes, we can say illusion, or we could say a sense of complacency, which is a result of Krishna's illusory energy. So yeah, gravity, it's always there to pull us down. And the juggler is using his or her expertise and also her and his alertness, right? One has to be alert. One has to be constantly attending to all three. You can't sort of, anyway, this is too many. You can't drop one of the three, otherwise the game is over. You have to keep all three of them. And it's a movement. It's a constant activity. No breaks. It's also a performance. I mean, juggling, usually people juggle as a performance for other people to see. It's entertainment. So our juggling is also not entirely private, especially if we think about, again, our relation with society and our outreach as part of a mission. Then this is public, and that means it's a kind of performance, and we like to do it well. Because if we can do it well, people are attracted, and they become inspired. I want to try that myself. That's a few thoughts. Any further thoughts?
So, three things to keep in balance. Those are following the example of a chariot, for example, always give sadhana attention, and third was control of the senses. What is it?
The third is the mission. And the mission is what I'm also calling outreach. Control of the senses is, well, that's in all three, you can say. But I was connecting it in particular with sadhana, because, as I was saying, the Upadeshamrita, Rupa Goswami, he's giving some very basic principles for the practice of sadhana. But yes, you can say that control of the senses, I mean, we can't maintain ourselves properly even without some control of the senses.
Yeah, I mean, I wrote the mission in this 3 things to maintain, but then we were speaking about how we can keep those things in balance. So, and while you were speaking about controlling your speech, I slipped out and I missed the third factor that I was asking.
Attention. Yeah, keeping attention. But the attention, what is the basis of that attention? That the basis of that attention, when I say, is faith. It's shraddha. Ado shraddha tata sata saṅgo tato bhajana kriya, etc. Tato anartha nivritti syat. Tato nishta, I know the word nishta means nothing in Croatian. It means something else in Sanskrit. So shraddha is, it's the base, it's the foundation. Ado, it's in the beginning, literally. Ad, in the beginning. And shraddha is something that we already have, but which is invested in different ways. And we want to kind of, what do they call it? There's some, like credit card companies, they try to persuade you to bring all the debts you have together into one card. There's probably some technical word for that. But then it's sort of, so what I want to say is we've invested in so many credit cards, and we want to sort of bring them all together into one, which is the Krishna credit card. We already have shraddha. Sometimes the word shraddha is given a sort of etymology. It may be what's called a folk etymology, but it sounds good. Shrad means the heart, and ha means placing. So what's placed in the heart, that is our shraddha, our faith. And Krishna says in the Gita, Sattva-anurupa sarvasya shraddha bhavati bharat. Shraddha mayo ayam purusho yo yat shraddha sa eva sa. He says that we are all shraddha maya. We are all constituted of shraddha. It's what we are, it's who we are. But then Krishna's going on to explain that we've invested that faith in the different modes of nature, in the triguna, and especially the shraddha can be a problem if it's invested in the modes of passion and ignorance, because then what do? We worship ghosts and spirits and rakshasas and such entities, and they're not going to help us. So he's advising, come to the goodness with your faith, and then from there. But the point is, shraddha is the foundation, and you can say that's what motivates us. That's what keeps us practicing this juggling activities. Yes, yes.
Yes, thank you very much. You were speaking about sharing, that we first have to have something in order to share, otherwise the sharing could be not so quality. I connected with Krishna maybe.
Yeah.
This is what I...
Maybe you can speak a little louder.
Yeah.
Okay. And so I think, yes, this is where I know this is my struggle. And it would be really nice that my faith could also be enriched with some experience. But I like also in doing with patience. So what do you suggest? Yes.
We want experience. Yes. Show me. Srila Prabhupada used to challenge when people would say, show me God. He would say, you don't have the eyes to see God. So in a sense, that's what we're doing by the practice of sadhana, is we're developing the senses by which we can perceive the Lord. And that's a refining process. We are refining, we are making our senses, we already have senses, we're refining the senses to perceive Krishna, to perceive everything in relation to Krishna. And so the process of refining the senses is very closely tied to the first sense, you can say first in the sense of what wakes us up first is hearing. And so we are hearing how everything is connected to Krishna, basically. And we're hearing who Krishna is and what does he do and what he likes and who he spends his time with and so on. And all of that is refining our sense and making us gradually into connoisseurs. You know the word connoisseur? It's a French word.
Yes, the one who knows.
Well, maybe literally, but it comes to mean one who has very refined taste. So a high class, cultured person who has good taste in clothing, for example. good taste in dress, or someone has a refined taste of art of some type or of music. They're called a connoisseur. They can appreciate good quality, whatever it is. So that's what Vyasadeva is inviting us to be in the beginning of the Bhagavatam. Pibata Bhagavatam Rasam Alayam. He says, Pibata. He says, drink. What should we drink? Bhagavatam Rasam Alayam. The alaya, the reservoir of rasa, which is the Bhagavatam. And so, so this leads to, a kind of responding to your question, how to experience. Answer, read Srimad Bhagavatam. That's our process. So, Hivatam Bhagavatam Rasamaliyam Muhuraho Rasika Muli Bhavaka. He says, Muhur, don't just do it once, do it again and again. And he says, Nigamakalpataro. It's a wish fulfilling tree, kalpataru, and the nigama, which means what goes down, literally, which means the root. So the tree of the Veda, the root is the Veda itself, the Rig Veda, the Sama Veda, Yajur Sama Atharva Vedas, and the Upanishads. Ultimately, what is all of it for? It's to produce fruit. And what is that fruit? Galitam nigama kalpatara galitam palam. It is a ripened fruit, galitam palam, which Shukadev Goswami, Shuka Mukha, Amrita Drava Samyutam, he has tasted it, and it is drava, it is semi-soft, and therefore very relishing, as Prabhupada explained. Because it's been tasted already, as a parrot will taste a mango fruit. I guess the idea is with mango fruits, because they're piercing it and taking some of the juice, it accelerates the ripening. And so that becomes very sweet.
Possible to know something about Lord Chaitanya's three topics.
Sarva Sadhya Sarva?
Yeah, when Lord Chaitanya spoke with Ramananda, yes,
Oh, yes, thank you. Well, truth be told, it's been a little while since I've read that, so I won't be able to be very precise. But, yes, that's called the, sometimes called the Ramananda Samvada. Samvada means a dialogue or a conversation. And chapter 8 of the Madhya Lila of Chaitanya Charitamrita is Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami's account of that conversation, which he says went for several days. Now, you can read the conversation and you can read that chapter in maybe an hour, which means there's a lot there which is not recorded. So we don't know what they said. But Krishnadas, I think, wanted to give us the essence of that conversation. And it was a private conversation, and at the end, the conclusion was, don't tell this to anyone. So we still got something. And what we get is what's called a technical word, a doxography of devotion. A doxography is a map of ideas, and it's a progression. And the progression begins with basic instructions of Bhagavad Gita. He does not quote the verse I quoted, but he quotes Sarva Dharman Parityaja Mamekam Sharanam Vraja Aham Tvam Sarva Bhakti-yo Moksha Shami Masha. Famous verse, everybody knows. So, but what does Lord Chaitanya say? He says, that's okay. That's okay, but keep going. And so many times, Lord Chaitanya says, keep going, keep going, keep going, to the instruction which Ramananda Rai is giving. Until he starts speaking about the devotion which is practiced in Vrindavan. Krishna and his direct associates in Vrindavan. Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu starts to say, now we're getting somewhere. Now you're talking. We say in English, now you're talking. And he keeps pushing him, keep talking, you can say more, I know there's more, keep going. And in this way, he comes to exalted devotional service, the devotion which is described in Chaitanya Charitamrita and sort of hinted at in the Srimad Bhagavatam, the very intimate, loving exchange between Krishna and his consorts. Right? Am I right? Yes. You're missing some teeth. You're missing some teeth.
They're growing now.
Yeah.
The real ones. The real ones.
The real ones. Very good.
That's part of kids sudden.
Yeah. And it doesn't happen in one day, does it?
She was a few days ago going to a dentist, so they had to cut a little bit so they can come out because they didn't want to get out.
These material bodies.
Yes.
It's hiding.
It's hiding.
It's hiding. The teeth are hiding.
Yes.
They're there, but they're hiding. Yes. In a similar way, Krishna is hiding in your heart. So, thank you for your translation all this time. Not easy. Any questions from those of you who are hearing the translation?
Yes.
Yes.
You were speaking about
Louder.
we were speaking about job results. Because
Yes.
items of our lives.
Mm.
And, how sometimes we have to kind of put some things on the back burner. So how do we know when it's too much? How do we notice, okay, now it is on the back burner for too long?
When you hear a little voice, when you hear a voice that says, "What about me?" Yeah, generally, if there's a little sincerity, and if there's some association with devotees, they will help you. There's a verse from Raghunath Swami where he says like that. He says, when you are overcome by the forces of Maya, essentially, then call out loudly to the devotees of Krishna, and they will help you. They will be ready to help you. They will respond. So, therefore, and that's maybe a point worth emphasizing, an essential part of sadhana is keeping friendship with devotees, because they're the ones who are our well-wishers. And we, as friends of other devotees, need to be their well-wishers. Not that we're just expecting others to be well-wishing us, to also be well-wishers for them. Is that okay? Good. On that note, thank you all very much. Oh.
Sorry. You spoke in one moment about gravity. So, how is it that everything falls down from the sky, but the millions and trillions of liters of water in the clouds, the cloud doesn't fall down?
Okay, we want to expand the analogy a little bit. Let's see. Yeah, of course, if we wanted, I think your question is not just about the physical function, but something more than that. I was going to maybe take that in a different direction. We want to get to the point of being in orbit, like a rocket, brings a satellite up to a level where it can remain in orbit. And so we're changing the analogy now. For some period of time, when I was a kid, my father was engaged in designing the missile booster, the thing that shoots the satellite into the sky. Anyway, so it takes a lot of force. You've all seen videos of how much fire comes out and how much energy it takes to get that piece of metal out there. So we have to, in a similar way, give all of our energy for that purpose. We don't want to always be, we don't want to forever be under the potential influence of Maya, right? Therefore, Ado Shraddha, the beginning is Shraddha, and so many levels of practice are there, culminating in prema. But before prema, there's always the influence of gravity. So, but your question is, there's so many clouds with so much water. I'm not quite sure how you want to connect the analogy here with water, but okay, I suppose we can, well, we could take it, samsaradava namalita loka tranaya karmaṇi. Right? The spiritual master is compared to a rain cloud who holds the water, but then can also release it to put out the forest fire, which we're burning. How's that?
I didn't think about analogy. I really thought because, for example, we have airplane and he going through the clouds and you need a strong engine and water. But there is the clouds are much more heavy because there's millions of liters of water inside of them. So I was thinking, how does it happen? Why they don't fall and everything is fall down?
That you have to ask a meteorologist. You know what is a meteorologist? A specialist in weather dynamics. How it works, I must say, it's beyond my knowledge, and I don't know if maybe it's there in the Bhagavatam.
Maybe from my experience, I can add something about gravity and balloon.
Balloons.
Yeah, you have ordinary balloons who stay on the floor, but if you put in balloons helium, for example, he go immediately up.
Yes.
And my point is that we must change something what is inside.
Inside, yeah.
And if we change our stuff, we think that is ours, but maybe it's not ours really. And we relieve this weight from our heart, then maybe we can be more light and much more easy to go out. And sometimes, if I don't know, maybe I'm speculating so much because I'm most of the time alone with my cows and horses, and I speculate about different things. And one of the best speculation is if I delete all, как скажет,
Cargo.
What I take care with me.
Load.
Yeah.
Burden.
Yes. Then I have sometimes the feeling that immediately I will go. And then I become the scared, I'm scared. If I really go up,
then what
will be with my daughter, with my cows, and with this? Maybe I will take something more in my pocket. Then I will be safe for now here. But when times comes, we just take care of it.
Well, I mean, that is, you could say, acknowledged in the ashram system, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes Srila Prabhupada would be quite kind of strong on this point. At age 50, right? I won't ask who's 50. So then he said, that is the time for vanaprastha. How many more years do you have?
3.
49. You're 49?
Yes, one.
One more year. But it's okay. Vanaprastha, you can also be with your wife and together. But you're doing that. So
already.
You're cool. Yeah, speaking of balloons and helium, I remember seeing one time, I won't say who, it was one of my dear godbrothers was having a kind of retreat with some devotees, and they had come, I think, to the end of the retreat, and he wanted all the people in the retreat to have a nice sort of goodbye experience. And so he had them all, he gave everyone a balloon, and they all went outside, and in a group that was sort of like, okay, now 1, 2, 3, let go. And the balloons all went to the ground because my dear godbrother didn't know that if you want them to go up, you have to put helium into the balloons. So it was a little bit embarrassing because the whole point was, we can all feel that upliftment, that relief, letting go of things which we don't need. But all the balloons went to the floor, to the ground. So yeah, we also have to have a bit of knowledge, right? How to let go, how to get rid of what's burdening us. But to your point of how fear may come, that, whoa, I'm now being lifted off, what am I going to do? I would say that's a good sign. Her teeth are coming out. Right? Yeah. So it's a good sign that something is happening, something is there. And Srila Prabhupada was very fearful. He had a dream, not once, at least twice. I think it was 3 times he had a dream that he was being called to take sannyas. And he said, I was very afraid. I think he used the word horrified. I was horrified. Something.
You said the clouds are another state of water.
Yes.
Yeah.
Gas.
Yeah, there's kind of gas. Yeah. And steam goes up.
Transform consciousness.
Yes. Transformed consciousness.
Is there sadhana without holy name?
Is there sadhana without the holy name? Well, theoretically, yes, but practically, no. Theoretically, yes, because there are 9 processes. The first 2 of which are hearing and chanting, and especially we understand chanting Krishna's names. Theoretically, one could do without these, and one could just do seva. Srila Prabhupada had one disciple in Vrindavan named Vibhu Chaitanya. He was from Bengal, and he was the cook for the deities. And he was cooking not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6, but 7 offerings per day for the deities, for all 1, 2, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 deities. And Srila Prabhupada told him, just cook. Don't worry about chanting japa. And that will be your perfection. But that was an exception. For all of us regular mortals, he very much insisted that we chant every day, attentively, 16 malas, 16 rounds of the Hare Krishna mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And he said that's a minimum, and it's perfectly allowed, it's perfectly permitted to chant more than that. There's no rule forbidding to chant. Is there? We have to ask Rosnitsa.
Ružica.
Ružica. We have to ask Ružica.
Marcus has a question. So, those who are not members of the Hare Krishna community, is there any chance for that?
Fortunately, yes. We're not exclusivists. In fact, speaking again of this little book I mentioned called, which I was calling a quick start manual, Rupa Goswami says, Krishneti yasya giritam manasadriyeta dikshasti chat pranatibis chat vajantam yisham shushushaya vajana vidya mananya manya nittai shunya vrita ipsita saṅga. The first line is the point here. Krishneti yasya. Krishna. If someone says the name Krishna, even once, that person is to be respected. Why? Because Krishna respects that person. And that's a ticket. That's the beginning. That's the beginning steps toward taking full shelter of Krishna. So we have a very worldwide, we have a very big congregation. Someone has estimated 9 million people, many of whom chant something, not something. They chant Hare Krishna mantra as they are able. They may chant one time a mala per day, some more. So all of that is recognized by the Lord. And so take heart. You can also progress in devotional service.
Je se pitanje više odnosilo na vanjske tradicije nego...
Možda smo mislili više na recimo plemena ili narode koji su negdje u periferiji ovog svijeta, pa zaista nikad nisu čuli za ovo, ni za Krishnu. Da je su
čuli za Krishnu. Different accent. She will translate, but the point of the question was a little bit different.
Oh.
Now she will translate.
Question was related to those people too far from the influence of devotees, so they have
no connection at all.
What about that?
What about them?
Like some tribes in jungles or so.
Right. Srila Prabhupada once said to Bhurijan Prabhu, a godbrother of mine, and his good wife Jagatarani Devi, he said, I want to give Krishna consciousness to the entire universe. So the aspiration of the followers of Srila Prabhupada is to help him do that. That's a tall order. So maybe we could start with Rijeka.
This is like jungle.
This is like jungle, yeah. Big jungle. Yeah, a lot of jungles are there. Okay, but the question may still be there. So, but what if somebody kind of misses the boat? There's no eternal hell. We understand from our scriptures. There are hellish conditions to which one may be condemned as a result of very terrible activities. But those places are not eternal damnation. Rather, everyone has opportunity sooner or later. Maybe this life, maybe next life, maybe the life after that. But everyone, in that regard, we are what in my brother's church's tradition calls universalists. We are universalists. That is to say, we accept the idea that potentially everyone can attain the spiritual realm. No one is excluded.
And he doesn't have to become a member of Hare Krishna Club.
You don't have to become a member of the Hare Krishna Club. We're not, at least I'm not, of the philosophy ex cathedra nul salus, as was pronounced somewhere, I guess in the Middle Ages, by the Roman Catholic Church. Ex cathedra nul salus. Outside the church, there is no salvation. That's the propaganda that is made. We don't say that. There are many Vaishnava traditions because the analogy is like a tree. There are trunk, roots, and then there are many branches to the tree, and there are many trees in the forest. And they all bear fruit. But we like this tree because the fruits are very sweet. Pivatam bhagavatam rasamalayam. Right. What's now? Oh, okay. Are they ready?
Yeah.
Good. Shall we proceed? Speaking of taste.
Yes.
Yeah. So thank you all so much for your kind and patient attention and toleration of my English, although this is not the first language. Some lifetime, who knows, maybe I'll have Croatian as a first language. No. Don't aspire for that. No. Thank you all, Srila Prabhupada ki jai for praying.
Jai.